Thank you to everyone who has served our country, and a monumental expression of gratitude to those who have made the ultimate sacrifice defending our great nation. I hope you had an amazing Memorial Day weekend. Unlike us, Bryce Young didn't show up to work hungover. The Carolina Panthers stepped into OTAs today, and we're going to give you all the takeaways from what transpired on the field. Wasn't a sensational day for Bryce Young by any stretch of the imagination. Look, Drake May, a week or so ago, threw 4 picks in New England. Every reporter was talking about Drake May. Bryce Young, the Cali to Cali connection seemed to be in mid-season form. Was throwing passes to Tetairoa McMillan, but Jaycee Horn did get the best of the Panthers rookie wide receiver a couple times. Chau Smith-Wade actually intercepted Bryce Young. Majoritively, we heard about the Panthers wide receiver room. There were a couple surprise injuries. But the big takeaway for me was a post by Sheena Quick on X. Sheena writes, Xavier Legette says he and the front office had a little bit of talks ahead of the team drafting Tetairoa McMillan in the first round. Surprising the Panthers went to Xavier Legette and talked through their selection in the draft with the second-year wideout. We know that Bryce Young voiced his opinion to Dan Morgan in the front office. We know Bryce Young wanted Tetairoa McMillan. But we didn't know that Xavier Legette probably didn't have input, but at least the front office went to him and said, hey, XL, we're going to draft this guy out of Arizona. He's on our draft board. He's someone we're looking at. And we don't know much of what the Panthers said besides that, but probably just a heads up. And look, would the Panthers have spent the 8th overall pick in the draft, the most precious resource they've had, probably in the past 2 years, at least? Would they spend that on Tetairoa McMillan if Xavier Legette had 1,500 yards last year? They went and got a receiver, and we all seem to think he's going to be a wide receiver 1. How does Xavier Legette fit into that? Here is what the Panthers wide receiver had to say about his new teammate, Tetairoa McMillan.
We had a little bit of talks. Yeah, we had a little bit of talks, and that was one of the talks.
You had a talk internally here, or you had a talk with T-Mac, or both?
Oh, no. I ain't never knew T-Mac. But we had some talks throughout the business, and he was an option, but they had some defensive players as options as well.
Well, apparently Bryce threw with them out in Southern California for like a one-day throwing session.
Yeah, I heard about that. But I mean, they from the same spot, so that still ain't determined if they're going to be.
That is amazing journalism right there. So there's no news really there, right? Other than the fact that the Panthers met with Xavier Legette before drafting Tetairoa McMillan. So that might be enlightening to some. But I love that last part of his answer there. Talking about how he knew that Bryce Young was throwing with Tetairoa McMillan in California. And it all begs into question this idea, which is, how does Xavier Legette work into this bromance? Like, it's almost like he's third wheeling on a date. He's sitting there at the table eating a mozzarella stick watching Tetairoa McMillan and Bryce Young flirt. It's inherently awkward. It's inherently awkward to be Xavier Legette in this situation. Bryce Young's throwing with this guy. Bryce Young's vouching for the Panthers to select him. All we hear about is the Cali to Cali connection. And there's clearly a profound relationship there. Xavier Legette's saying all the right things. He's being awesome about the whole situation. Optimistic, positive. There's nothing more you can ask for him, but it's almost like being in the same room with your ex. It's like there's no good way to do this. It's just inherently awkward, and the bromance between Tetairoa McMillan and Bryce Young breeds that awkwardness. And the best way to silence that is making plays and putting up numbers. And there was a lot of buzz about Legette's performance on crossing routes. Specifically, crossing routes. Canales went on to say that Legette and McMillan looked great together. The two were on the field a lot, got a ton of reps, which is a big win. Last season, guys getting reps were freaking Terrace Marshall Jr. and Jonathan Mingo. They both ended up playing for other teams and not really playing at all, quite frankly. So you have two guys who are going to be starters getting on the field together early on. That's great. That's a win. But I really like this bit on Xavier Legette running the crossing routes. Supposedly it's the crossing routes that Xavier Legette is excelling on. I think he's made for that role. Look at the guy. He's like we want to call him a running back almost, but he's tall too. He is great. Imagine Xavier Legette running crossers underneath. He is perfect for that. He's big. He's strong. He looks as big as any running back in the league. He's like Derrick Henry at wide receiver. And I love that role for him. And this idea that T-Mac and Legette are getting reps in now, Canales said they haven't changed the offense all too much. But at the very least, you have a wide receiver one, a true wide receiver one in T-Mac, presumably. He opens up the offense. He lets Xavier Legette play to his strengths, which tends to be the crossing routes. And that is something I'm very excited about personally. I think putting Legette in that position allows him to excel in the field, no pun intended. And then also, we get to watch the circus, which is all these other wide receivers go out there. Everyone seems to have unique skill sets. Renfro might be a great route runner. We don't know if he makes the team. Coker was sidelined today as a precaution, but he adds a rebounding-like presence at wideout. Jimmy Horn, speedster. I keep saying it, and it never gets cliche. Fastest player Mike Kay has seen on the field in 3 years. Jimmy Horn is. I think the best thing that Tetairoa McMillan does is let's not get caught up in the drama. Let's not get caught up in the bromance that's there between Bryce Young and Tetairoa McMillan. Let's not turn this into an episode of The Bachelor. Instead, let's look at what he adds. And that is, he is a true wide receiver one who opens up opportunities for every other guy in that room. This was a very interesting point from Dave Canales. Multiple times at his press conference, I just watched it. The Panthers released it on their X. It's also on Panthers.com. Whole Dave Canales press conference. He talks about how they're breaking the huddle fast, and he compared it to a pickup basketball game. He's like, when you're playing pickup and no one's really thinking. You're just kind of putting the ball in the hoop. Everyone's playing their best because you're not thinking. You're not looking down at your cleats and you're like, what do I do here? You're not getting self-conscious that your shoelaces are untied. You're playing pickup. And he compared the Panthers offense to that today. It was like a game of pickup. And that's an early sign, but a good sign. Because last year there were times, at least up until halfway through the season, where you're like, what is going on? Are they not getting the plays in? Some people were blaming Bryce Young, saying he's a basket case. Some were saying it's Dave Canales' fault. They both seemed to be upset, clearly. There were a couple of delay of games. A lot of it was in the beginning of the year. But that's something that is important to hear, the continuity. And you add that with the fact that a lot of these guys who are out there in OTAs right now, which are voluntary, are going to be on the field together week one. You're not just mixing and matching and signing this guy and putting him out there, and it's going to be a continuous thing, barring injury. And one guy who was injured last year is back. And oh my gosh. When you forget about something, like you order DoorDash and you forget it's in the fridge, and you're just like, yes! I forgot I had a leftover chicken cutlet sandwich. That's what it's like getting Derrick Brown back. You almost forgot he was there. You almost forgot he was a Carolina Panther. This guy had 100+ tackles as an interior defensive lineman in 2023. This guy is a beast, one of the best players in the NFL against the run. And he was back on the field today, according to Dave Canales. Derrick Brown is feeling great, weight-bearing, and changing direction. Earlier reports say he is looking to come back for week 1. I don't believe that is confirmed yet. But Derrick Brown is back and ready to go. And this is the best news we could possibly get. It's the DoorDash in the fridge that you forgot about. Oh my gosh, I can eat this. He is back. And I saw that and I was just like, it adds so much to the defense because I know they brought in Roseboom, Bobby Brown. They prioritized edge on day 2 of the NFL draft. There ain't no player like Derrick Brown, DB. He's a great guy, too. Like, you're rooting for him as a person. So I'm glad DB, the person, is back on the football field. But as a biased fan who has vested interest in this thing, the Panthers got a good one back when Derrick Brown is back on the field in OTAs, weight-bearing and changing direction. Tommy Tremble, a little bit of a curveball here. Tommy Tremble, of course, signed the 2-year, $10.5 million contract this offseason with $4 million guaranteed at signing per over the cap. But Tommy Tremble was out of OTAs and getting back surgery. The Panthers tight end is getting a cleanup back surgery, 25 years old. I guess it happens especially at that tight end position. It's a brutal position to play. But is this something that you expected, right? Like, not a huge contract, but I was sort of taken aback by it. Like, okay, he's getting back surgery. You hear back surgery thrown around. Colloquially, not the best term to hear. It's not sunshines and rainbows when you're on that operating table, for sure. So we'll see how things transpire there, but it opens the door for rookies. Mitchell Evans, rookie tight end. What does he do? Where does he step up? We will cover those developments. Ja'Tavion Sanders, another guy, had a big catch at practice. A big catch. He high-pointed the ball over 2 defenders. Ja'Tavion Sanders, tight end 1. Tight end 1. I'm telling you. That is the guy that, I'm not a betting man. If I was a betting man, I would say Ja'Tavion Sanders takes a step forward. Maybe not 800 yards or something crazy like that. But other teams look at him and go, we need to stop this guy. He's a bona fide weapon. Other guys who were injured, Jalen Coker and DJ Wonnum, per Joe Person. Both these guys were out of practice as precautionary issues. Coker with soft tissue and Wonnum with the back. Again, though, the narrative there is interesting because it's like wide receiver and edge. There's a lot of tight competition in these rooms. And Wonnum, Coker especially, almost fighting for reps. I know it's OTAs. I know it's early on. But you have a lot of young guys, rookies who are chomping, ready to get starting roles in this offense or defense. It's got to be in the back of their head a little bit. If you're Coker, if you're Wonnum, I want to get a high snap count. I want to try and be healthy out there so I can prove myself and prove that Jimmy Horn or if you're Wonnum, Nick Scorton or Princely Umemielen don't come and displace me. We'll see how things go there. It's OTAs. They're not pushing too hard, of course. And Mike K, he got this out of Dave Canales. Mike K with the question of the day. Dave Canales spilled the beans. Carolina Panthers are traveling to Houston for a preseason game, and they will have a joint practice with the Texans. I love that. Don't you love Bryce Young and CJ Stroud duking it out in August? CJ Stroud won the rookie season. He took a step back last year. Bryce Young inspired confidence in the entire Panthers fan base with his performance at the end of the 2024 season. Now these two guys who are draft picks in the 2023 NFL draft hit the field together. I'm not going to say fight. I'm not going to endorse fights. But if there was a time to have an awesome training camp fight, it would be in August when the Carolina Panthers and Houston Texans are on the field together. We haven't seen that in a while. I don't think there was a fight at the Jets-Panthers joint practice. I don't believe there was a fight there. I just remember Garrett Wilson running all over the Panthers secondary. Freaking Aaron Rodgers was becoming a blast from the past. But Panthers-Texans joint practice this year, that is going to be fun. That is going to be must-see TV in the preseason. Usually people just turn the preseason on and zone out, catch up on a novel. No, this is going to be good television. And I'm ready for the reports when the Carolina Panthers travel to Houston to have a joint practice with the Texans. That's it for this segment. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is The Tone. We have so much cooking for you folks. Saturday, we will release an entire OTA review. All the narratives, all the topics surrounding the Carolina Panthers, we will discuss. And the production will be nothing like you've seen before on this channel. It is going to be next level. I've been preparing like a bear going into hibernation. I've just been gathering, like the graphics, all that. I've just been gathering. And I'm ready to go into the cave and hibernate. And before doing that, I will release the coolest video ever. Saturday. Stay tuned. This is The Tone.